In this video, I will show you how to rebirth and steal a Brainrot, and why it is actually one of the best features in the game. Most players see the rebirth button and think they will lose everything. But the truth is that rebirthing is how you unlock the biggest upgrades and multipliers in the entire game. So first, what does rebirth do? When you click the rebirth button, your cash goes back to 0, and you lose all of your Brainrots. But you keep your gears and items, and in exchange you get permanent upgrades. These include new gears, more slots in your base, second and third floors, longer lock times, and most importantly a cash multiplier that makes you earn money much faster than before. That means even though you restart with no cash, you can rebuild way quicker and unlock better tools every time. Now let's talk about how to rebirth. The button is on the left side of your screen. It looks like 2 rotating arrows. You cannot use it anytime you want. The game requires 2 things. You need enough cash, and you need specific characters. The characters can be stolen from other players' bases, or purchased from the conveyor belt in the middle of the map. Once you have the required cash and characters, you can click the rebirth button and confirm. Here are the requirements and rewards for each rebirth level. Rebirth 1 requires 1 million cash, and the characters Trippy Troppy and Tung Tung Sahur. It gives a 0.5x multiplier, 5,000 starting cash, and rewards like Friend Controller, Iron Slap, Gravity Coil, and Bead Launcher. Rebirth 2 requires 3 million cash and Bonica and Balabu with BRR Patapim. You get a 1x multiplier, 10,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Gold Slap, Coil Combo, and Rage Table. Rebirth 3 requires 12.5 million cash and Trilimero Trilacina with Chimpanzini Bananini. You get a 2x multiplier, 25,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Diamond Slap, Grapple Hook, and Taser Gun. Rebirth 4 requires 35 million cash and Chef Cabracadabra with Glorbo Fretadrillo. You get a 3x multiplier, 50,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Emerald Slap, Invisibility Cloak, and Boogie Bomb. Rebirth 5 requires 100 million cash and Frico Camel with Orangutini Ananasini. You get a 4x multiplier, 100,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Ruby Slap, and Medusa's Head. Rebirth 6 requires 350 million cash and Bombardilo Crocodilo with Bombombini Gusini. You get a 5x multiplier, 250,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Dark Matter Slap, and Web Slinger. Rebirth 7 requires 1 billion cash and Cocafanto Elefanto. You get a 6x multiplier, 500,000 starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Flame Slap, Quantum Cloner, and All-Seeing Sentry. Rebirth 8 requires 5 billion cash and Tralalero Tralala. You get a 7x multiplier, 1 million starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Nuclear Slap, and Rainbow Sword. Rebirth 9 requires 25 billion cash and Giraffa Celestro. You get an 8x multiplier, 5 million starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Galaxy Slap, and Laser Cape. Rebirth 10 requires 250 billion cash and Tralalero Tralala again. You get a 9x multiplier, 25 million starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Glitch Slap, and Body Swap Potion. Rebirth 11 requires 1 trillion cash and Odin Din Din Dun. You get a 10x multiplier, 45 million starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Splatter Slap, and Paintball Gun. Rebirth 12 requires 7 trillion cash and Trinistrezzo Turbo 3000. You get an 11x multiplier, 500 million starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Heart Balloon, and Magnet. Rebirth 13 requires 50 trillion cash and Ballerino Lololo. You get a 12x multiplier, 1 billion starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, Megaphone, and Beehive. Rebirth 14 requires 100 trillion cash, and Trippy Troppy Troppa Trippa. You get a 13x multiplier, 1.5 billion starting cash, plus 1 slot in base, gummy slab, and subspace mine. So how do you use this system effectively? The trick is not to wait too long. Some players grind for hours at the same level, when they could already rebirth. Every time you rebirth, the multiplier makes the next grind much easier. For example, the 2x multiplier from Rebirth 3 makes it much faster to hit the 35 million needed for Rebirth 4. That is why the best strategy is to rebirth as soon as you meet the requirements. Another advanced strategy is using a second account as storage. Before rebirthing, you can move all your items to that account, rebirth on your main, and then transfer them back. This lets you keep everything while still benefiting from the multiplier and upgrades. To do this safely, you will need a private server, which costs 79 Robux, or you can join a community where people share them. That is how Rebirth works in Steal a Brainrot Roblox. You lose your cash and brainrots for a short time, but in return you unlock multipliers, upgrades, and faster progress. If you found this guide useful, remember to like the video and subscribe so you never miss more Steal a Brainrot tips, event updates, and strategies. Thanks for watching and good luck with your first rebirth.